question, how long is the Great War in China? The total length of the war, not only Mutianyu, 5,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very long. But compared to the Great War, that's still short.
Wow.
It was longer than 5,000
5,000 is so
kilometers.
short.
Any other number?
7,000.
7,000. Still short.
10,000.
10,000. Wow. Still short.
Wow.
What?
How big is China?
20,000. Wow, that's very, very long. Well, the experts said he made the Great War, mostly in straight way. And there are so many branches. So he said the Great War was at least about 21.1 something kilometers long, 1,000 kilometers long. So it was at least 21,000 kilometers long. And it's longer than the distance between North Pole to the South Pole along the Earth's surface. So it was very, 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 very long. But most sections of the Great Wall have already collapsed, destroyed, unrestored. So there are so many sections, almost nobody go there. So far, the most famous one in China, in Beijing, it is Badaling Great Wall. Badaling, have you been there?
No.
Not yet.
No? It's all your first time to come to the Great Wall.
Yes.
Super.
So which section did you go last time?
Oh my God, this was 20 years ago.
Oh,
So-
last time that was Badaling Great Wall. Badaling, trust me, Badaling. 20 years ago, I think Badaling Great Wall was fine. But now, Badaling Great Wall is very crowded, very crowded. That's the first section open to the public, so the most popular one. Since Chinese people come to Beijing, most of them would like to go to Badaling Great Wall. It's very easy, take the bus to get there. So that's always very crowded. We always say Badaling Great Wall is people mountain, people sea. Well, it's Chinglish translated from Chinese. That means if you go to Badaling Great Wall, just see people, not see the wall. So that's people, mountain, people, sea, very crowded. Today you have done a good choice. Compared to Badaling, Mutianyu is less crowded, almost empty there. And I think the scenery in Mutianyu section is more pretty. Yeah. There is a popular saying in China, our chairman Mao, he said that you are not a hero until you get to the Great Wall.
Oh.
So congratulations, all of you are going to be heroes today. Are you excited?
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, since it's your first time to come to the wall, so far here, I think I am the biggest hero. You should admire me. I almost go there every day. I'm a superhero. Today I can protect you. You have to listen to me, otherwise we will take you to Badaling Great Wall to see people. Construction of the Great Wall first began in the 7th century BC, so over 2,000 years ago. At that time, in China, it was called Spring and Autumn period. The first section of the wall was built by the state Qi and state Chu. They had a high wall. At that time, the wall was called Square Wall, Square City. They had these kind of things built around their own territories to defend the attack of the neighboring enemies. So talking about Chinese history, do you know any dynasties, emperors?
Puyi.
Only Puyi.
Sorry, what?
Only Puyi.
Only
Oh,
the
Puyi. The last
last-
emperor. Yeah.
Qing and Ming dynasty. Tang dynasty.
Ming.
Tang.
Tang.
Huh?
Tang.
Tang.
Tang. Yeah.
Song.
Song. What else? Tang Song, Ming Qing. You miss one. Between
Yeah.
Song and Ming.
Han.
No, Han, yes, that's one of them. But
Ano, Han.
between the Song and Ming, there was another one. Yuan dynasty.
Yuan.
Tang, Song, Yuan, Ming, Qing. China has a very long history, so many dynasties, emperors. Even me, I always get confused. There was a movie very popular, The Last Emperor of China.
We
The
finished
little
it
boy.
last
Have you
night.
seen this one?
We
Yeah.
finished it last
It
night.
was the last movie shot in the Forbidden City, the real Forbidden City in Beijing, the last emperor of China. It was made by Italian people. That's a shame, not by Chinese. But it's very good one. If
Yes.
you are interested in Chinese history, history, I highly recommend this movie.
Yeah.
And another one, Karate Kid.
yes.
The
Okay.
latest Karate Kid was shot in Beijing. You know, Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
Yeah, Jackie Chan and the kid, they were practicing Kung Fu on the Great Wall in the film. Can you remember that?
Yeah.
So the Great Wall in the film, that was Mutianyu Great Wall. Very pretty. Today we are going to see it. So starting from the spring and autumn period, the frequent wars intensified until the Warring State period. After a series of annexations, then 7 states became the most powerful states. Qi, Chu, Qin, Yan, Han, Zhao, Wei, popularly called 7 powers in the Warring State period. In order to defend themselves and safeguard their territories, all the kingdoms, they followed the example of State Qi and State Chu. They had sections of the wall constructed around their own territories for self-protections. So these high walls, they were the primitive prototype of the present Great Wall. They laid the foundations for today's Great Wall. In Chinese history, construction of the wall was concentrated in Qin, Han, and the Ming dynasties. So the movie that was about our last emperor, little boy, he's very famous, Pu Yi. How about our first emperor, a great man in Chinese history, Qin Shi Huang? Have you heard of him? Qin Shi Huang. So he's only famous in China, I think. You know,
Qin.
terracotta warriors.
Ah, yes,
Yeah.
the terracotta.
Terracotta warriors were made for him, Qin Shi Huang, to protect him after life. So the war began to be called the Great War in the time of Emperor Qin Shi Huang. In 221 BC, he defeated the other 6 kingdoms and unified China. Since the other 6 states were all conquered by him, the first united feudal empire in China came into being, and then he gave himself the title, the first emperor of Qin dynasty of China, Emperor Qin Shi Huang. In order to consolidate unity, he not only made use of the common law, the common system of currency, but also he paid more attention to military affairs. He decided to link up separate sections built by different kingdoms into the Great Wall, especially the high wall in northern part of China. Then, in order to ward off harassment by the Huns, maybe you know Han, H-U-N, Han people. They used to from North China, from grassland of China. Maybe if you're from Europe, maybe you heard of that. They used to go to Europe to attack Europeans, and they were very strong people. And some people said they have connection with Hungary people now. Maybe that's not true, I'm not sure. So in order to ward off harassment by the Huns and for the use of further defensive projects, then Qin Shi Huang he sent Mutianyu, a military general, with 300,000 soldiers and 1 million people up to north to build up the wall. So at that time, almost 1/5 of Chinese population were involved in the project. 1/5 of Chinese population. You know, at that time, without any machinery, it was so hard to build out the wall. Countless millions of people died for building that, and their bodies were buried inside the Great Wall. So today we are going to step on these bodies. Don't go there during the night. There are lots of ghosts. You know? So the whole project of the Qin Great Wall, the linking work of Qin Great Wall, took about 10 years to complete. When it was finished, the total length of the wall, at that time, it was already about 7,000 kilometers long. After the Ming, next one was Han Dynasty. You know, the Silk Road.
Yes.
Silk Road started from the Han Dynasty. With experience joined from the wars, the emperor of the Han, he found out the Great Wall was an effective means of defense against harassment. Then, apart from maintaining the Qin Great Wall, they built an outer Great Wall about 500 kilometers to the Lao Blue Lake in today's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region to protect the Silk Road. Maybe you know Xinjiang province. Xinjiang, that's the biggest province in China, in northwest China. It's very big, but there are lots of land there are desert, so not a very large population there. Some people living there, they look like foreigners, like Western people, have big pointed nose, big eyes, but they are Chinese.
Yes.
You know, our Chinese, we have 56 different nationalities. The largest population so far is Han people, H-A-N. It's different from H-U-M. Now it's H-A-N. Like me, I am Han people. I'm also Han. You also Han.
I'm also Han.
Well,
I'm
Yes, I am.
Han
the
I think so.
largest population in
We're a lot of
China
people.
was Han people. So in the Ming Dynasty, the Ming emperors, they were Han people, H-A-M. After the Ming, it was Yuan. During the Yuan Dynasty, the Yuan emperors, they were Manchurian people, Manchurian nationality from northeast China. Before the Ming, it was Yuan. During the Yuan Dynasty, the Yuan emperors, they were Mongolians from North China, from grassland. They used to control China, like Genghis Khan, Kublai Khan. Heard of that,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, they're famous, very famous. So in the Ming Dynasty, they were Mongolians control China. Some people now living in Xinjiang province. Xinjiang, that's the border of China. The Silk Road was from there. So they look a little different. Still Chinese, very pretty. There are lots of Chinese actors. They are from that place, and they are very good at dancing. Very talented. Yeah, very pretty. But anyway, the Han Great Wall was very, very long. It was about 10,000 kilometers. Then during the Tang Dynasty, the capital of Tang was in Chang'an City. Now it is called Xi'an City. Xi'an, terracotta warriors also in Xi'an City. Well, that's a very historical city. There are so many historical buildings, just like Beijing, and food are also very popular. You should go there. Xi'an, Xian. Yeah. So during the Tang Dynasty, the Tang Empire entered its flourishing period. They expanded their frontiers further to the north. So the Great Wall lost its function for almost 300 years. Last large-scale project on the wall was carried out in the Ming Dynasty. Ming. Since the third Ming Emperor Zhu Di, he moved the capital from Nanjing City, somewhere near Shanghai, from Nanjing, moved to Beijing. Then the Forbidden City, Temple of Heaven, all built in Beijing around 1420. Also, Nanjing Duck was moved here. Now it is very popular. It's called Peking Duck now. Have you had Peking Duck?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not yet. Well, it's a specialty here, very popular. You should try that. We always say, come to Beijing. The first thing is going to the Great Wall. Then the second thing is having Peking Duck. So if you haven't tried that, maybe tonight you should go to have Peking Duck. I think it's very delicious. It's crispy, but don't have too much. Like two people, half is enough. Yeah, don't have too much. Too much will be very oily. I think. Yeah, don't have too much. But if you have chance to go to Nanjing City, I recommend you try Nanjing roasted duck. That's the authentic duck. It was moved from there. Also very nice city near Shanghai. Around Shanghai, there are many small cities. Compared to Beijing, they are small, but they're very beautiful. The sceneries, gardens, very beautiful. Like Suzhou, Hangzhou. If you have been to the Summer Palace, the buildings, actually, the style of the building, they copied the south cities, like Suzhou, Hangzhou. They copied that place. If you go there, well, China is very big. South and north totally different. Yeah, it's very big. So in 1368, right after Zhu Yuanzhang, he established the Ming Dynasty. He is the founder of the Ming Dynasty. But at that time, the capital was in Nanjing City, near Shanghai. It was moved to Beijing later in 1420. So at the beginning of Ming, Zhu Yuanzhang, the founder of the Ming, he sent his chief general Xu Da up to north to build up the wall on the basis of Qin Great Wall. So in 1368, Xu Da, he conquered Dadu. At that time, Beijing was called Dadu. So he conquered Beijing. So the Mongolians, the Yuan Emperor, Mongolians, they had to go back to their northern desert. But the dethroned Yuan emperors still have the remaining forces. Later, the remaining forces of the Yuan dynasty, they launched frequent southward attacks on the Ming. In order to guard against invasions, Emperor Zhu Yuanzhang, he paid great attention on the construction of the wall and stationed troops along the wall. The whole project of Ming Great Wall took more than 200 years to complete. After that, only the Ming Great Wall, it was almost 9,000 kilometers long. It passes altogether 9 cities, provinces. So in China, not only in Beijing, there are many other cities, they also have the Great Wall. Like in Liaoning, Hebei, Tianjin, Shanxi, Shanxi, anyway, there are so many other cities, they have the Great Wall. But most of them, they are disjoined, unrestored, so they are not as famous as Mutianyu, and almost nobody go there. I used to watch your documentary. there was an expert. He said he went to a small villager in northwest China. He went there to explore the old Great Wall. When he got there, he asked the local people how to get to the Great Wall. The local people told him, "You go the wrong way. The Great Wall is over 1,000 kilometers away in Beijing. You should go to Beijing."
They don't know
Even
this.
local people, they didn't know that's the Great Wall. You know, there are so many different sections, and some sections they may built by about 1,000 years ago, maybe 2,000 years ago, and now you can just tell it by its appearance, you know. And different sections they were built by different materials. Like this one we are going to today, it's on the mountains. It was built by the stones and bricks. But there are some other sections that were built on the desert. Very old ones they might built by like sand and tree branches, like willow, you know, willow branches. That's totally different, totally different. Even we go there, we have no idea if that's the Great Wall, you know. And so it's been understood so many years. It's very different. The Great Wall still exists today. Most of them were built in the Ming Dynasty. Like this section we are going to today. Can you remember the name?
Mutianyu.
Yes.
Mutianyu.
Mutianyu. Mutianyu. You'd better to remember this one. Or we'll take you to Balani Great Wall to see people. Today we are going to Mutianyu. Mutianyu Great Wall, yes. So Mutianyu Great Wall was first built in the Ming Dynasty. In 1368, Ming General Xu Da, he started the construction of the wall from Shanghai Guan Pass. Which one? That's the end. Oh, sorry, that's the head of the Great Wall, close to the ocean in another province, but near Beijing. From that part to Mutianyu Great Wall, had Mutianyu Great Wall built in 1404. So Mutianyu Great Wall was first built in the Ming Dynasty in 1404 by General Xu Da. It's been over 600 years old, right? Yeah. After that, it was rebuilt for several times. The latest restoration was in 1984. Our government spent larger funds on its restoration. Then 2 years later, it was open to the public and it's accessible by cable car chairlift toboggans from below. Today, Mutianyu Great Wall lies about 70 kilometers northeast of Beijing in Huairou district. And Mutianyu Great Wall is around 3 kilometers long. It's not very long, only 3 kilometers. But you know the wall is up, down, so it's very hard to hiking. The average elevation of this section is around 700, 800 meters high. The highest point on the top of mountain is over 1,000 meters above sea level. In this section, there are altogether 23 watchtowers from east to west, from number 1 to number 23. After 23, the rest of the Great Wall is another one that is called Jiankou Great Wall. That's completely wild, unrestored. Since that's unrestored, old, so it's kind of dangerous there. Some towers there are very steep with an angle of 80 degrees. Almost area some adventurous people dive there, very dangerous. So today, you'd better not go there. Maybe we can stop at tower 14 or 20, then come back. Please always remember that. Safety first, safety first. On the Great Wall, there are so many very big, high stairs and also many small, very tiny baby stairs. Most of stairs, they are uneven, so no running on the Great Wall. We walk carefully, slowly, but every year there is a couple of different marathons on the Great Wall. One of them is on Mutianyu Great Wall. If you want to join them, you can come back. But today, for us, for tourists, of course, no running on the Great Wall. Safety first, safety first, safety first. A few years ago, there was a Canadian girl on Mutianyu Great Wall. She was choked. She fell. She killed another woman. Very serious. Actually, it's also a kind of dangerous place. Usually, there are lots of people got hurt. Some people in my group, they got hurt on the wall. So we walk carefully. Don't always watch your phone, you know, watch the road, watch the stairs. Okay? But don't be scared. It's your holiday. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy it.
Too late.
Too late. Safety first. So among 23 watchtowers, but today only 20 towers are open to the public from number 1 to number 20. Among 20 towers, number 3, number 7, number 15, from the second story, that's a good place for taking photos. And today it's a little foggy, but I think on the mountain, on the Great Wall, it will be clear enough to see the whole this section. So if it's clear enough, I think number 1, number 13, 14, these towers also very good places for taking photos. Usually we take the chairlift up, chairlift down, or toboggan down, or cable car down. Chairlift and toboggan, they are from one company, that's Germany's company, and number 6 tower. So today, if you take the chairlift up, you will get to number 6. Then there are 2 options. If you want to have some exercise, I would like to recommend you go to right first. Go to right, you can walk to number 1. Number 1, that's the end of this section, and also that's the biggest tower of this section. When you get there, you turn around. You can, if it's clear enough, you can see the whole this section. So usually that's a very nice view from there. But on the way from 6 to 1, like number 3, number 2, these 2 towers are very steep. The scale is very big, very high. So if your knees are not very good, maybe you can go to left first. Compared to right, left, it's more flat. It's much easier, much easier. But no matter which way you go, finally you need to come back to number 6 tower. Then take the chairlift or toboggan down. Since they are from one company, so they are the same ticket. When you are picked to back to tower 6, you can pick either of them. Of course, I recommend you take the slide toboggan. That's much more fun. But sometimes I have to tell you, some people in front of you, they might be slow. So you need to be patient. No shouting, no yelling, and no bumping. Okay. If you wanna go fast, you'd better not have Chinese people in front of you. Lots of Chinese very slow. Trust me. Yeah. Lots of Chinese very. I mean, if you wanna go fast. So up and down, round tickets 120 yuan per person, single way 100 yuan per person. Cable car is another company at number 14 tower. So today, if you take the cable car up, you will get to number 14. Then go to left or right, it's up to you. But remember, come back to tower 14, then take the cable car down. Up and down, round tickets also 120 yuan per person. Single way 100 yuan per person. Some people would like to walk up, walk down. You can walk up, walk down. But usually I don't recommend this way because we only have 3 hours for hiking the wall. Even we do chairlift, cable car, we can't finish the whole this section in 3 hours. So if you walk up, walk down, maybe I think that's a waste of time. Anyway, we'll see when we get there, okay? And one thing I need to remind you, for example, if you take the chairlift up, chairlift down, or toboggan down, up and down, round trip, right? But only one ticket, round trip, 1 ticket. We buy the tickets at the bottom. So after going up, put the tickets in your bag or in your pocket. Keep it with you. Don't lose it or drop it. Otherwise, you have to buy another one or you have to walk down. Last time there was a family from London. They lost their tickets. Then they are not allowed to use the toboggan or chairlift, and they refused to buy another ticket. They refused to walk down, very angry. They said like fucking Chinese, greedy Chinese like that, which is very stupid. You know, you are in China. There are some rules you have to follow. You know, if you really hate China, you can say that when you go back to your country. In China, if you say that, sometimes you can get arrested. Okay. So keep the tickets with you. Don't lose it or drop it. Okay. Okay. Well, in the past, without any machinery, the common transportation to carry the stones by the labor soldiers. So the funny thing was that long time ago, the laborers, slaves, these poor people, they were forced to carry the stones all the way up to the mountain to build that wall. But a few years ago, before the Great Wall was restored, the local villagers, they also went up all the way to the mountain, then to get to the Great Wall, get to carry the stones down to build a house. But not anymore. Nowadays, our government paid great attention on the protection of the wall, you know. And now, if local villagers they want to rebuild a house, they can get lots of money from the government. The government help them, support them to rebuild house. So there's no need to get the stones from the Great Wall, which is very hard, you know.
Yeah.
There was a stone inscription unearthed at Badani Great Wall records that a section of 200 meters long, only 200 meters long, required thousands of soldiers and laborers to finish in a whole year. only 200 meters long, need to be finished in the whole year. Mutianyu Great Wall, it was about 3 kilometers long. Now you can imagine how many years they spent to build the Mutianyu Great Wall. It was very hard, very hard. There is a story in China about the Great Wall, very famous. Every Chinese people know this story, even little children. So maybe you heard of that. The woman, she's called Mutianyu. Mutianyu.
Mutianyu.
Yeah, you heard of her?
No.
Are you Chinese?
No, Taiwanese.
Taiwanese.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, on the mainland of China, it's very popular. When I was at primary school, our teacher always taught me. But even in Taiwan, I mean, still.
No, but yeah, I didn't
Maybe
grow
it's
up in
gone.
Taiwan though. I'm from South America.
South America, I see. So now you think Chinese.
I know.
Well, in China, when Chinese people go to the Great Wall, we always talk about this story. This story happened during the Qin dynasty, when Emperor Qin Shi Huang, he forced many poor laborers to build up the wall. Unfortunately, Meng Jiangyu, her husband, was caught and became the laborer not long after they got married. After her husband was taken away, there was no news of him at all. So Meng Jiangyu missed him terribly. One day, in late autumn, she made some padded clothes and left home to look for him. In order to get any possible news of him and to see him soon, she defied all the difficulties on the way. Finally, she got to the wall. She asked many poor laborers who were working at the wall about her husband. At last, someone told her her husband had died of hard work and the corpse, the body, already inside the Great Wall. She was so sad, she just kept crying until she fainted. All of a sudden, 400 kilometers of the Great Wall collapsed. The bones and the bodies of millions of poor laborers were exposed. She found out the bones of her husband. After careful burial, she committed suicide by jumping to the sea. To commemorate her death, then a temple was built at the eastern edge of the wall. And nowadays, this temple is very famous. It is called Jiangyu Temple, Jiangyu Miao, built at the head of the wall in another province but near Beijing. Maybe you can go there to take a look. Well, this story is a legendary story. Maybe not real. I don't think it's not real. But even though it's not real, it has already been handed down from generation to generation. That's why every real Chinese, we know this story.
Real.
Well, and today, the Great Wall, it is one of the 7 wonders in the world, right?
Yeah.
That's why you come here. So maybe you know that people can see the wall from the space.
Yeah.
Do you think it's true?
Yeah.
Really? You saw the pictures? You saw the proof?
Yeah.
Online?
Yeah.
From Google?
Online.
You sure the picture they were not made up? Well, I think it's incredible. There was a Chinese astronaut. He's very famous. Maybe you know him. Yang Liwei. His name is Yang Liwei. He went to the space for a couple of times. He said he tried many times to see the wall, but he didn't see it. And his co-workers also tried many times to see the wall from the space, and nobody saw that. So maybe that's not true, you know. We haven't been there.
It was too hazy, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. I have to admit that Beijing is always very foggy, especially on the mountains. Sometimes it's so foggy, like Mutianyu Great Wall. Sometimes, like when you stand on number 14 tower, you can see next tower. The distance between 2 towers is usually around 100 meters long. So it's very short, only 100 meters. But even 100 meters, sometimes you can see that far on the Great Wall. It's very foggy. So maybe in a very clear, sunny day with technology, you can see that from the space. I have to say technology is amazing now. Maybe one day we will be there. Hopefully not. Well, usually we take 1 hour and a half to get to the Great Wall, 2 hours at most. Depends on the traffic. Today, so far the traffic is not too bad. So today, I think we'll get to the Great Wall around 9 o'clock. 9 there, the first thing, of course, is going to hike the Great Wall first. So yeah, after 3 hours hiking, then we go to the restaurant, have lunch. After lunch, then we come back to the car, go back to the city. On the way back, we will drop you off at Dongzhimen subway station. This morning, we met at McDonald's, that's exit C. But on the way back, we will drop you off at exit A. The same subway station, but different exit. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So today, I think we'll get back there around 2:30, maybe 3 o'clock, maybe 3:30. Depends on the traffic. Yeah, sometimes the traffic is pretty bad. Sometimes after the Great Wall, some people they are interested in the kung fu show, acrobatic picking up roll. So if you are interested in these shows, you can tell me. We can help you book tickets in advance. And the tickets from our company is much cheaper than the theater. Picking up roll, kung fu show, acrobatic. Well, if you are interested, just tell me. Okay.